Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video on the channel. And for the first time for a long form video, I'm here in a Team Liquid shirt, so that's something special as well. I'm gonna continue on the same foot as always, with this time provide a video talking about the top 5 settings that you need to use in FC 25. We're gonna do this video in a way where first I'm gonna go through the menus to show you where you can change the setting and which options you got, and then I'll explain both of these settings and what difference they make in game. So first we're going to talk about precision shooting and assisted shooting. As you may know, since this year, precision shooting is something that is required and for all the pros to use in competitive play. So I've been on precision the whole year. First thing we do is of course go into the menus and we go to the controller settings. We scroll down a bit until we see the shooting part, and there you see that it's on assisted or manual even, but manual is way too hard. With precision shooting, you have more control of where the ball goes, so you can place it a bit further in the corner, but you can also miss-hit it or miss-aim it and you waste a pretty big chance. So there's pros and cons. Of course, it's better when you do everything right, that you get rewarded for it, but there's also times where you do something in assisted shooting that's not particularly right, but you don't get punished for it, if you know what I mean. So shooting from long distance is still possible with the precision shooting. Of course, if you watch pro gameplay, they all play on precision and they still score trivelas and finesses. But of course it's harder, it takes more skill. You need to aim it better, especially from a ball roll, it's harder to aim and it takes time to master. I think inside the box the benefits are huge from precision shooting because, I don't know. I have the feeling with assisted shooting you shoot at the post way more often because it's not really in your hands. When I'm on precision, I feel like it's more in my hands. The shots go into the corner where I want a bit better, but it's also, again, because I mastered it. But if you shoot a lot from range, if you can't be bothered to change it or to adapt again to precision, I would just keep it at assisted because there's also nothing wrong with that. As I said, the long shots are better. Inside the box finishing is still good, especially with the playstyle pluses. And in the end, all the pros last year played on assist as well. Maybe that's also because we didn't know about precision that much and we didn't try it and give it a shot. But last year and even the years before, pros always used to be on assisted, so that was a reason for that as well. Next topic we're going to talk about is timed shooting or non-timed shooting. Again, for this, you go to the settings, controller settings, scroll down to the shooting section, and then you see timed finishing. You can put it on or off. So with timed finishing, what you can do is time it red, yellow, green, or too late. With red being very, very bad, yellow decreasing the power and accuracy of the shot, green giving it more accuracy and more power, and too late, so white is, well, it's as if you don't use timed finishing because you're too late. So again, we're going to see some examples in this clip while I'm talking. For me, I always use timed finishing, and that's because it's a big difference for long shots especially. The trivelas from outside of the box, the finesses from outside of the box, even the one on the edge of the box, the shots that could go wrong, I have a few doubts. If you time them green, the reward is massive and they fly in. But of course, this takes practice because how do you time your shots? It's first pressing the shooting button, whatever shot you want to use. So let's say finesse, you load up a finesse like usual, but then right before the contact between the foot of the player and the ball, you tap the shooting button another time in the hope you time it well and it becomes a green timed shot. For me, I mastered this the mechanic a lot and I practiced it a lot in skill games before I even went into the real matches, into FUT champs, stuff like that, because I didn't want to mess up there. As of course you got a lot of easy chances, and if you time them red, there are chances also where it becomes like an automatism. So every shot you time. There are chances that you simply don't have to time, and if you time them red or yellow, it might mess up your chance of scoring. So that's why I would not recommend it to everyone or to just jump into FUT champs while not having practice with it, because you first need to master it before you can apply it in FUT champs, division rivals, stuff like that. But I think if you can master this mechanic, you should for sure try to use timed finishing. Next up, what we got is advanced defending versus tactical defending. This is again something you can find in the controller settings. If you scroll down to defending, you can see if you're defense is on either tactical or advanced. And I hear you asking already, what is the difference? For me, from what I know, I use tactical myself, is when you are on tactical, everything is normal. But when you're at advanced, there's a button that activates, the X button, where if you perform this button and your player is close to the opponent's player, he might perform like a body check, shoulder to shoulder, to push the player away. To get this animation in tactical defending, you need a bit of luck. There's kind of an RNG. So what it does is you, for example, are close to an opponent, you press the tackle button, and instead of tackling, sometimes your player does the shoulder to shoulder, and sometimes he just tries to do a regular tackle. So that's the kind of difference there is. Other than that, there's not much difference. I think the only difference, yeah, as I just said, is the shoulder to shoulder. If you can control it with the X button, and also, of course, if you're on advanced defending and you press the tackle button, he will always do a tackle. So it also never will become a shoulder to shoulder. So you kind of get more control in the sense of, yeah, now I know when it's going to tackle, and now I know when it's going to perform a shoulder to shoulder animation. For me, I prefer tactical anyway, because I think it's better for me, at least for the CPU, to decide what's the best option, because if you're on tactical, then the CPU will kind of decide like, okay, I think the best option now is to go shoulder to shoulder, or I think the best option now is to perform a standing tackle. And that for me works, and every time I change to advanced, I kind of get too stuck in my head, like, okay, now I need to press X or not, and I think this way is the best for me. But of course, a lot of pros also use advanced defending because they mastered it, they know the timing of when to use X, when to use the circle button or the tackle button, whatever. Number 4 is the analog sprint on or off. So the analog sprint, again, you can find it at the bottom of your of the controller settings. You're gonna see analog sprint, you can turn it on or off. Personally, I have the analog sprint off, and I'll explain you why, but first we need to know what it does. So when you're running, you press R2 to run. If you got the analog sprint on, if you don't, for example, now I push it back all the way to R2. But if I push it only halfway, your player will also run slower. So the pace of your player, the amount of sprint intensity that he does, is dependent of how much you press the R2. So if you press it full, it's going to run in full intensity. If you press it half, it's going to run in half intensity. This of course gives you a bit more control in terms of how quick your player goes. But in reality, for me, when do you want your player not to sprint in full intensity when you hold sprint? So when do you want to... So for me, it's either you don't sprint or you sprint. There's no in between. So for that reason, I put it off. Of course, there's still a world in which if you hold the sprint button and you want to go a bit slower but not walking, yeah, maybe in that sense, but how many times do you really want that? So for me, it makes the most sense to put it off, because in some situations, maybe when you don't even realize it's a subconscious thing, you don't hold it to the fullest and you need your player to run, but because you don't hold it to the fullest, he doesn't perform the best sprint there is, and you get caught. So that's the reason why I put it off. And last but not least, I think this one is the most whatever you want one, it's the camera settings. So of course, when you load into the game, you go to the settings, and then you go to camera, and you see all these kind of options. I think I always change the single and the multiplayer one just to be sure. Those two are the most important. And then if you scroll a bit further down, you can put it on default or you can put it on custom. And that's for the height and the zoom. So if you load up FC, it's always, I think, on the standard, the EA game camera, and this one is so bad. I think all the pros use either telebroadcast or co-op, and there are a few exceptions that use standard, or you can name it. Me personally, I use telebroadcast on default, so it's 10 height, 10 zoom. But if you change the default to custom, you can even put the height and the zoom on a scale from 0 to 20. Telebroadcast is of course a bit more focused on the players with the ball. You see the game less from above. With co-op you can see basically the whole pitch. So it's just whatever you want and whatever you are comfortable with. As I said, I use telebroadcast 1010, but there are enough pros that use co-op or that use telebroadcast 20.0. So this is a very personal thing. I would just recommend you yeah, to experiment a bit with these height and zooms, and with the tele-broadcast and co-op, or even if you want classic or standard, whatever you prefer. Me personally, and I think a lot of pros, tele-broadcast or co-op are the best ones you can possibly use. But in the end, yeah, you need to decide what you prefer. Do you prefer to see the whole pitch? Do you prefer to have a bit more control, or like close dribbling becomes a bit more easy, tight spaces, just whatever you want to see on the pitch when you're playing the game that you feel comfortable with, you need to do. So guys, that was the video about top 5 settings, or 5 settings you can use in FC25. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you for the next time. Bye.